But understand this, that in the last days there will come times of stress. For men will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, inhuman, implacable, slanderers, profligates, fierce, haters of good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure, rather than lovers of God, holding the form of religion but denying the power of it. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 to 5. What if I told you that what you are consuming is killing your soul? Would you believe me? The food that you eat, the music you listen to, the television and shows that you watch, the games that you play, social media that you scroll on, and even who you spend your time with could very well be worsening your physical, mental, and spiritual health. It is common knowledge that when you eat a lot of junk food over an extended period of time, you will gain weight, and it will increase your risks to numerous health complications. Your physical health will deteriorate much quicker than if you ate a healthy, balanced diet. We all know this, but yet many of us fail to eat healthy consistently and don't take care of our body. Do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. The same goes with who you spend your time with. Motivational speaker Jim Rohn is attributed with the famous quote, that you are the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. While the quote is largely true, we are our own independent person with our own individual experiences, consciousness, and free will. I think a more accurate intent of Jim Rohn's quote is, you will become more like the 5 people you spend most of your time with. If you spend time around pessimists and those who constantly complain, you are more likely to develop the same negative habits. If you surround yourself with affluent people, with high standards of living, your standards will likely shift to align similarly. Therefore, I caution you, be mindful and intentional with who you surround yourself with. Is one of those you surround yourself with the most Jesus? Who you spend the majority of your time with influences who you will eventually become and can either elevate or bring you down. But what about other forms of media? What about music? What kind of music do you listen to? You may be asking, why does it matter? But it does. Messages in modern music today are often a heaping pile of garbage. Some genres are worse than others, but most popular music today glorifies gangs, murder, crime, sexualization, swearing and abusive language, drug abuse, alcoholism, broken families, and much more. After listening to these songs often enough, the messages and ideas can and will penetrate into your mind, and at the very least, your imagination. Even if one does not act on the toxic messages promoted in many of these songs, they can corrupt our minds, conscience, and imagination. Now, what about social media? A recent survey from Pew Research discovered what we already knew, in that a majority of teens use social media every day, and almost 1 in 5 say they're on social media almost constantly. And this is only what teens are self-reporting. Many underreport the amount of time they actually spend on their devices and on social media. The frequency is already concerning, but even more concerning is the content on these media platforms. I'll save a deep dive into each platform for another video, but each platform is plagued with degenerative, attention-grabbing content that are designed to trigger a shot of dopamine to your brain, making these sites shockingly addictive. Whether you are consuming addictive content on YouTube, depleting your attention span and giving data to China through TikTok, gossiping and getting into arguments on Facebook or Twitter, or having sexually explicit and politically motivated content on Instagram and Snapchat, and probably all the other platforms. I don't think these platforms were originally created with the intention to degrade our morality and decency, at least most of them. But when social media is used in ways the average person uses them, it can be disastrous for society. An entire generation of children being raised by social media and other influencers, rather than their parents and experiences with their peers. The world would be a much simpler, less anxious, and healthier place without social media. I think most people would honestly agree with that statement today. While social media can be used well with good intentions, like watching this video, the average user thinks little about what they consume, how often they consume it, and how it affects them. Now, what about mainstream media? The same thing goes with watching the news, listening to podcasts, or watching TV shows and movies. What kind of material are you filling your brain with? Is the news depressing you to no end at the conclusion of each day? Are the shows or podcasts you consumed filled with vulgarities or immoral thoughts? How about video games? Are the games you play or watch desensitizing you to criminal behavior? There needs to be intentionality with how and what we consume from the media. I believe what we consume through mainstream media and social media, big tech, mainstream music, modern Hollywood, and the gaming industry are leading us down the broad path to destruction. Now, I'm not saying that you have to cut out music, games, social media, and news out of your life, nor am I saying you cannot administer to those who are struggling spiritually. Media can be used and consumed in many admirable ways. It allows us to stay in touch with our friends and family, stay up to date on current events, provides much needed rest and leisure as we embark in a new story in a movie or a game, and these aren't bad things. We just need to be wary of the pitfalls and be intentional about what we consume, how often we consume it, and how it affects us. If you find it difficult to give up one of these aspects I mentioned, that might be a sign you need to scale back a bit on your consumption. We are warned multiple times in the Bible not to be conformed to this world, so here are a few helpful tips that I would recommend. First, as mentioned earlier, spend more time with Jesus in prayer, adoration, confession, etc. Acknowledgement of His presence and spending time with Jesus will help you align your will to His. Second, set limits on the media you or your kids consume. This could be either a specific amount of time each day or week, or after a specific task has been completed, like chores and homework, or set boundaries on the content that you watch or listen to. And third, don't get too attached. If you could not give it all up tomorrow, it's a sign that you might be a bit too attached and need to scale back on your consumption and how much value you place on it. For example, if I come home from work or from school every day only to binge watch a TV show for 3 hours each night, that's a sign that my priorities need some adjustment to keep straight my responsibilities to God, my family, my community, and my own well-being. I invite you to join me and take a moment to think and pray about your own experience regarding the media you consume by clicking the video in the top right corner of your screen. Please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with others to help us reach a wider audience and spread this message. Thank you so much for watching, and may God bless you.